Hey guys, happy Tuesday. Kick-ass moms. Rock on. So, it's Amanda Fisher from Amanda Fisher Coaching. I wanted to talk to you guys today about something that you may not even have explored or even entertained in your life. Okay? And it's this idea, it's not an idea, everybody has one, it's just whether or not you're honoring it, that you have an eating personality. So you guys kind of know how we went through the meal workshop last week, right? The simple and satisfying meal workshop where I taught you kind of how to simplify the meal process, how to come up with how to whip out a meal plan, how to, eat foods that you enjoy, that your family enjoys, how to balance them all out, all of that good stuff. We knocked that out last week, and I thought it would be super, let's take a piece of that, that is your eating personality, and let's talk about that today, because I think a lot of us fight against our eating personality, and it makes it really hard when you're fighting against your eating personality to actually use it in a really healthy way, in a really satisfying way, right? So, this may or may not resonate with you. Let me know if it does. It's we all have this way of eating that we we have these things that we naturally crave, right? That we naturally gravitate towards, our personal preferences, right? Some people are sweet, they like more sweet things. Some people like more savory things. Some people like crunchy things. Some people like, whatever it is, right? And a lot of us, you can fall into the trap really, really easily. I used to be this way, of beating yourself up for those things, of thinking that that was a flaw about you, or that was a way that you should not be, right? I'm going to give you a couple examples and see if this resonates with you. Number one, we talked about it in here last week too. Do you eat cold pizza for breakfast? I particularly freaking love cold pizza for breakfast, but I like it warm and I like it other ways. The point is that cold pizza for breakfast for me is a hell yes, right? It's part of my eating personality. I'm a cold pizza for breakfast person. I love it. When it's around, I'm on it and I'm going to eat it, right? However, I used to be why do you have to like cold pizza for breakfast? I used to almost think about that as this character flaw about myself. It was this really bad thing that I shouldn't like, or I shouldn't want, or I shouldn't eat, or whatever, right? And so I want you to kind of explore the areas of your life that make up your personal preferences, your tastes, your eating personality, right? What are the foods that you naturally gravitate towards? Like I was saying, for a lot of us, it's the things that we think, God, why can't I just eat like a normal person? Why do I have to like that, right? Why does that have to be my thing? Why does that have to be something that I'm naturally called to, or that I naturally want to eat, right? So I was talking with a mom 2 weeks ago, and she was like, everybody tells me that I'm supposed to eat breakfast. It's the most important meal of the day. I'm not hungry for breakfast, right? That's not I know I need to eat something, and I know I do better when I do eat something, but I'm not this big breakfast person, and everybody's telling me how important breakfast is. I should do it that way, right? And so she tried to do it. It wasn't her thing. It wasn't making her feel good. And she was always at war with not at war, that's maybe dramatic, but she wasn't hungry at that time, right? That wasn't what she was called to be eating. She didn't want to eat a bigger breakfast. Her body was naturally not hungry until a little bit later in the day. And so she had to learn how to not push herself into eating this big massive breakfast, right? And instead, being kind of smart about packing things that she could grab during a busy day at work, right? During a busy morning at work, so that when she found her hunger picking up, she had options to choose from, instead of just kind of getting really hangry and then chewing off her arm later in the day. Oh my God, by lunchtime I'm famished, and now I'm making a choice that I don't really want to make because I let myself get too hungry, right? Another example, I have, one of you in here is somebody who likes crunchy things, likes chips, right? And you're I should cut down on the chips. And I'm But I don't really think the chips are your problem. You like to grab a handful of chips like as like a completion to your meal, or as like something that comes alongside of your like mid-afternoon like snack during the day, right? And it's not like you're going crazy like eating bags of chips. You're like literally like, I want some crunchy stuff. I literally want a handful. That's not something to beat yourself up for, right? That's a way, that's like part of your eating personality. That crunchy, dippy chip thing is part of your eating personality. And so our job, or actually your job, to be quite honest, is to not beat yourself up for that. That's like part of like, that's part of what makes you you. That's part of what makes your appetite kind of unique. That's part of what makes like the foods that you crave feel really appealing to you. And that is part of your satisfaction, right? Many of you guys know, because I joke about it a lot. I have a thing for Reese's peanut butter pumpkins, right? It's going to be October in 2 days. And so Reese's peanut butter pumpkins are everywhere to be found right now. And this is like a hell yes for me, right? Those are like, I love them. I would be shooting myself in the foot. And to be quite honest, I would be really bored with life if I wasn't honoring the fact that I really like Reese's peanut butter pumpkins, right? If I really, like, I was just like, no, don't do that. That's like not a normal person thing. Why do you have to like that? Why do you have to enjoy that food, right? Why would I not just honor that, like, the fact that I like the damn Reese's peanut butter pumpkins and learn how to work with that, right? Instead of push it away and can repeatedly, like, fight against it. A lot of people go through this, too, where, for breakfast, they don't want to eat breakfast food. They don't want to eat scrambled eggs. They don't want to eat, whatever for breakfast. They want to eat, like, regular ass food at breakfast time, right? Case in point, like when we have spaghetti and meatballs in my house for supper, right? I gravitate towards eating meatballs for breakfast the next morning, because it's like I had them for supper and I still have that flavor, that taste combination going, and I love that particular flavor combination and that particular taste. And so there's a lot of mornings after a spaghetti and meatball night, I will heat up meatballs and marinara sauce for breakfast the next morning. I might do it weird. I might have like 2 meatballs and some marinara, and I might have an apple on the side or a slice of toast or whatever. I might make up that breakfast plate, at breakfast time, however I want to. But like, I love eating meatballs for breakfast. It's what makes me me. Guess what? I love it. I'm motivated to eat that way. And so I'm going to find a way to like health that up, right? If I was eating spaghetti and meatballs for supper, spaghetti and meatballs for breakfast, spaghetti and meatballs for lunch, I don't think I would feel very satisfied, and I don't think I would feel like super healthy either, because it's like I'm missing out on other things, right? But when I'm honoring my appetite and honoring my own unique eating personality, I have an opportunity to, number one, make a meal ridiculously satisfying by eating that thing, right? By eating that thing. Meatballs for breakfast, right? A snack plate for breakfast, because you're not hungry right away in the morning, and you're like packing yourself things that you can grab along the way that kind of fill those 4 components of a healthy meal, right? That we talked about last week. Learning how to work with yourself, learning to like not push away those things that you naturally love, learning how to like enjoy them, learning how to incorporate them, learning that that's actually those specific like cravings, those specific things that you naturally gravitate towards, those specific things that you naturally like want to be eating, those specific things that like, those are the things that call out to you, right? Those are the things that you're excited about. That is your eating personality, right? In case in point, I have another friend who is really, really, really into baking bread, right? She likes to make ridiculous, crazy loaves of bread. They're beautiful. But also, she battled that for a long time, right? Like, all I'm doing is baking bread. And she was like, she loved baking bread, right? She loved it. And she was really talented at it. She was really good at it. It came naturally to her, right? And she was kind of like beating herself up, like, I shouldn't be eating this much bread, right? At the same time, when you're kind of like, when she was in that position of like, I shouldn't be eating this much, like, this is ridiculous, this isn't healthy, I shouldn't be doing this, why do I just want bread all the time? Well, number one, That was like her superpower. She was freaking phenomenal at baking bread. Beautiful, like, oh, designed loaves. I don't even know how you would do such a thing. It was so awesome, right? And then at the same time, she was kind of in like a weird place, like pushing that away. Like, why are you like this? Why can't you eat normal people food? Why do you have to like to bake bread? Why do you have to like this thing, right? And she was kind of beating herself up, like, this much bread isn't healthy, you know, kind of going down that rabbit hole a little bit. And at the same time, I'm like, you're baking like ridiculously beautiful loaves of bread. That's incredible. 90% of the population, number one, cannot do that, because if you've ever tried to bake bread, sometimes that shit is hard to do. You can't get it to do what you want it to do, and it definitely doesn't look like it should, like you think it's going to look like when it's all done, right? Maybe it is. Mine hasn't at this point in my life. That's your superpower. Don't push that away, right? That's like part of your eating personality. What are ways that we can eat bread, the cool shit that you're really enjoying, you know, making and preparing and building and like finding satisfaction and joy from, because you're like allowing yourself to do it? What are ways that we can round that bread out, right? From what we learned on the workshop last week. Where can we add a protein to that bread? Where can we add, the bread is a carb, right? Where can we add a produce to that bread? The enjoyment factor is already there. You're baking these beautiful loaves of bread, right? For me, I was like, why in the hell aren't you just building like beautiful sandwiches out of this bread and like adding like some tasty, like a bomb of protein on there, and like going full out with like awesome mustard and tomatoes and onions and sprouts and everything on this bread? Like, celebrate the fact that, number one, you fucking rock at making this bread. Number two, it's delicious, so you have enjoyment down. Number three, where's the protein and where's the produce? Round it out. Eat the bread, but figure out how to like make this a complete, full, satisfying meal that has some staying power and has all of the components of like both health, the four, you know, kind of like the four pieces of your plate, and satisfaction, right? This whole live stream, you guys, is to say, you have an eating personality, and it's like, you're maybe kind of beating yourself up for it. Like, I wish I didn't crave that. I wish I didn't want to eat that. I wish I was a normal person who didn't want to eat meatballs for breakfast. At the same time, that shit is your superpower. It's like it's the thing that makes your appetite yours. And it's actually the thing that when you stop pushing it away, hey, Missy, when you stop pushing that thing away, when you start making it bad, like, why do I want to eat crunchy things like chips? Why am I so good at baking bread? Why couldn't I be good at baking something else, and now I have all this bread on hand? I shouldn't be eating this much bread. Or whatever the thing is that you think you shouldn't be doing. We all have these tastes that we're naturally drawn to, these foods that we're naturally drawn to, these, you know, whatever. And a lot of us push that away. At the same time, pull it towards you, because that's your superpower at eating. That's your own unique eating personality. And so what's happening is you're spending your time like, I shouldn't be liking this, I shouldn't be doing this, and whatever, and you're like making it bad or making it wrong. And then we can kind of like pull it in and say, I'm actually going to embrace this, and I'm going to rock the shit out of it, right? And I'm going to make this like meal, like I'm excited to eat this thing, right? Cool. Health it up. Round it out with the 4 categories of a, you know, like a power plate, right? With the 4 categories that round out a healthy and satisfying meal, right? Do that. Work with the tastes and foods and things that you naturally already want to eat, right? And rock the shit out of them, because that's what makes it yours. I bet you'll notice after we had this conversation, after we had this live stream, that you're going to notice that your kids have their own little unique way of eating too. And that's like part of their eating personality, right? My kids, probably because they're seeing me eat meatballs for breakfast, they don't always want breakfast food. They also want like, hey, can I have leftover, you know, whatever from last night? Can I have leftover steak from last night? Can I have leftover pork chop from last night? Yeah, totally. Like, we went on a really big stretch through like the entirety of 2019 where my kids ate snack plates for breakfast with diced up leftover steak or pork chop or chicken from something that we grilled the night before, you know, and like some sliced apples, something else on there and whatever, and they would just kind of munch their way through. That wasn't normal breakfast food. They also really loved it. And it was a simple and balanced meal, right? And it was like, it gave them staying power and it allowed them like satisfaction. And then it wasn't like we were fighting against like, you should eat eggs for breakfast, right? And entire point of this, if you've made it this far in the live stream, go with what you're naturally drawn to. That's your own unique eating personality. And when you learn how to work with that, you're not pushing against yourself so hard, like, don't do that, you shouldn't be eating that, and whatever. You're honoring your own specific taste buds. When you know how to balance that out and make that a healthy meal, with the 4 components that we talked about last week, and you're already getting like this satisfaction from that because you're eating foods that you're naturally drawn to, that you naturally want to be eating. Now, we're going to learn how to balance that out a little bit. And it becomes a simple and satisfying power plate approach, right, to how you're eating your foods. You don't have to push against yourself and not eat what you actually want to eat. You're working with yourself. You're more likely to enjoy this process. You're more likely to keep doing this day after day after day after day after day because it's your own way of eating, right? I don't want you to ever eat like me. I don't ever want you to eat like somebody else because you think that's the right way to eat. I want you to eat like you. This has to be your way or none of this works, right? It totally just does not work if it's not your way, right? That's just something that I want you guys to know because I think we can kind of beat ourselves up a little bit for like not being a normal person and we have, like, why do I always crave this food or why do I always want this thing or whatever? Consider the fact that that's not a bad thing. And what if you just learn how to like allow yourself to like that and not make it a weird, huge deal and learn how to balance it out and fit it all in? So you're never going without. So you're never going without indulging or eating that thing, right? Anyway, just a quickie for today because everybody has an eating personality and so many people are fighting against it. When they just go with it, when they just adopt it, when they just roll with it, instead of pushing away, God damn it, life in food just gets so much easier, right? Because you're going with the flow instead of trying to push a truck up a hill by avoiding it, right? Weird analogy, I know, but that's just how it is. Anyway, the power plate, oh my gosh, the power plate challenge kicks off live. We start on October 5th, which is Monday, together as a group. Here's what it is. It's literally 30 days. Every day, in and out, you enjoy a healthy power plate. You build it, you create it, right? You learn how to make it every day for 30 days. And what we're doing in this challenge is like simple. You're like embracing your eating personality and you're learning how to work with that so that you can make healthy eating like it just is for you. It's just your normal, right? Without the struggle of sticking with things anymore. Because it's just like you eat how you eat because that's just who you are. You also know how to eat how you eat and balance that out by building healthy and satisfying meals while incorporating that eating personality and the things that you really, really, really do enjoy, right? So it's like a simple approach to healthy and satisfying eating that like you work with yourself, right? To create that plate after plate every day for 30 days, meal after meal, right? For you yourself, for the meals that you eat by yourself, like lunch or breakfast, right? If you eat those away from your kids because you're running to work or whatever. And also the meals that you eat with your family when you're sitting down at the dinner table or the supper table, no matter if you say supper or dinner, right? You can go to AmandaFisherCoaching/plate and you'll find all the details on it. But 30 days, you're with me live together in a group. I teach you everything that you need to know, but also like the application of it is you are eating power plates every day for 30 days. And it's a really fun way to embrace how you like to eat, but make that like healthy and satisfying along the way. So that you like food is just something like it just happens for you. You don't think about it anymore, right? I'm so excited for this one, you guys. All right, you guys have a happy Tuesday. Embrace your eating personality. Rock the hell out of it. You're doing it. Go get it. Bye-bye.